Kneel before Zod. Let's say we go down and grab some takeout. What do you prefer? Junkyards? I think there's one near here. Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. And we're taking a look at a GoBots toy this time around. I don't want anybody out there criticizing me for going to the other side. I always enjoyed GoBots just as equally as I enjoyed Transformers. And for a time I was alternating between the two a number of years back. But for some reason, which I can't remember, I had stopped on them. I've been thinking about getting back into it. If you're a GoBots fan, drop a like down there in the comments. Let me know if you'd like to see updated GoBot reviews. But this one is a special one to show off because I've got a secret thing to show you all with it. So I hope all of my regular fans will stick around for it. But at any rate, this is Zod. Zod was released in the first wave of GoBots toys back in 1984, and he remained on the shelves the entire run of the GoBot toy line. Unlike most of the toys that were produced for GoBots, Zod is not based on any toy released by Bandai. Zod was designed in-house by Tonka. So, on a technicality, since Hasbro now owns Tonka, while they can't do much with the GoBots due to the molds being owned by Bandai, they do own everything for Zod. And it would be interesting to see Zod be brought back. Alright, at any rate, Zod, for those of you who may not be familiar with him, Zod was a renegade. It's unknown if he is a monster or some other specialized mechanical being. Not a lot of lore was really delved into on Zod. Early on, you're led to believe that Zod is one of a kind, but there were several episodes where they had either several other Zods, or they even manufactured Zods. So, little inconsistent on whether Zod is something unique or is he an army builder. Although the size and price that he wasn't much of an army builder. But of course, also, there was an episode in the cartoon where the Renegades did try to build a improved version of Zod called Ultra Zod. But its prototype was destroyed before the episode concluded. And there was never any other mention of the Renegades trying to rebuild that. Zod was a motorized toy released by Tonka. He had a motor in him and was powered by 3 C-cell batteries. Unfortunately, mine does not work. But the toy would, when he was switched on, he would roll forward a bit and then rear back and then try to land and knock down the smaller GoBots. Zod was apparently pretty well measured so that his size would work with that. Plus, of course, the mouth also would have opened up to give off something of a mechanical roar. They designed his on and off switch to help be the toy's weakness, or at least I should say Zod's weakness. It's right here. Up near the tail. This is how you switch him on. You'd push that down and then he'd start going. The off switch is on his belly. So basically when he rears up to pounce on GoBots, his vulnerable spot is revealed. Of course, you can use your finger to get down there and shut him off. But since GoBots don't use your finger, they included this laser lance with Zod. And despite its size, the laser lance is one of the most difficult pieces of all toydom to find loose on the market. Zod is relatively common to find, but this isn't. Probably mainly because people forgot that this is what it came with, that it went with Zod, and it got lost or thrown away and forgotten about. So yeah, having a complete Zod like this is a rare find. But of course, I got more rare finds with this Zod. Zods that were released in 1984 also included this storybook, which was done as an early attempt to give lore to the GoBots. It's a pretty primitive and small story, since, let's face it, it was intended for children. But it also doesn't have anything that really syncs it with the Hanna-Barbera cartoon. So it exists in its own continuity. And of course, on the back of it, it also has a plug for a different toy line from Tonka. But to also show off some things, with this Zod, I managed to get the box and the foam insert inside. Raise the camera up here so you can see the top of the box there, where it shows Leader 1 and Royalty engaged in battle with Zod. And as you can see, Zod is listed as the enemy robot monster. It's motorized. It is, but mine don't work. And since he's a first-year Zod, he mentions that he has the storybook. Here's the side art for him. It looks like this Zod was sold at Toys R Us. He was on clearance for $7. Because we can see the old price behind it, and apparently he was being sold for $18. And then we more or less get the same stuff over here. This is just the package. This is just labeling from the place I bought it, Transformer Land. Good place to buy all sorts of old toys and new toys. The bottom of the box doesn't really feature anything except the legalese and the barcode. And then here on the back side, up here at the top, we get a little lore about Zod. It says that it includes an instruction sheet, but mine does not have that. And then it shows here what Zod would do if he actually did work. And then we have pictures of Psykill and Leader 1, the small versions of them. I say that because the super version of Psykill did not have the wheels go in his shoulders. And then we have a bunch of Super GoBots. 2 friendlies and 4 enemies. But of course, the other side also has a plug for the command center. A nice vintage time capsule, if I do say so myself. Okay, my viewers, now we're going to get down to that special thing that I mentioned earlier. Because I do have Zod here, as you can see, but I also have a special version of Zod. This is the prototype for what would become Zod. And yes, this is the genuine article. This is not a 3D printed fake that I'm showing off. This is the genuine mold. We're going to sit them here side by side with each other. Let you bask in the glory of Zod for a moment, because we'll point out some of the differences that we can easily tell between the two toys. The first and most obvious is there is a redesign of the head. As you can see here, prototype Zod had more pronounced areas around the eyes and above, whereas that was reduced a bit on the retail version. Plus they also had some spinage here on the neck, which is absent on the retail version. I mean, besides the lack of wheels here near the backside, the original version had no fenders, whereas the retail version did have fenders put on him. Since this is the prototype, the button in here is a bit recessed. But as we can see, they did go with it. They did redesign it to be a little bit bigger. Right here for the battery cover area, the prototype has a very thin grip for the battery cover, whereas the mass-produced retail version has a wider grip, which is a little easier to open. We'll let you look inside. That way you can see it. And we'll do the same with the prototype so you can see that it does have it. Before any of you ask, I did put batteries in it. Nothing happened, so I'm not sure if it has a motor in it or not. Of course, here on the prototype, they used a metal bar that runs in between here for the front wheel, but it doesn't take much, and the bar tends to, as you can see here, it slides out. Did come out on me here recently, completely, so had to work to get it back in. Otherwise, those are the major changes that were done. Most of what else is pretty minor on here, like right here along the back, you can probably barely make out that there are 3 vent holes here along the sides, whereas on the retail one they are considerably smaller and there's only 2 of them. There's this large circular part here on the side where the wheels are, and as you can see, that's been changed to accommodate the fender. Plus they went with a different design in between the shoulders and the back wheel here as compared to what's on the prototype. But all in all, it is an interesting piece of toy history. I managed to get lucky and find him, and I have had him for years. And I always wanted to do a Zod review where I could show all of you how he looked compared to the other one, compared to the mass retail version. All in all, it is an interesting toy. And I certainly do appreciate the history that it presents by having it. So now we get to my thoughts. What do I think of Zod? In some ways, I do like Zod. It's an interesting toy all on its own, and with it being one built by Tonka, they did give it its signature toughness to it, because there is a bit of heft to this plastic. So Zod would stand up to some rough play. The biggest gripe that I have about Zod more comes to the characterization of Zod in the media. They really didn't do enough to differentiate if this Zod was different from any of the other Zods. Nor did they really go into much detail about anything about if Zod is also purely mechanical or if he was a cyborg like the other GoBots. As it was revealed that GoBots have organic brains inside their mechanical bodies. Something that could have been interesting if they developed it any. But that was the problem. Tonka didn't want lore, they wanted toy sales. And unfortunately, as the Transformers proved, we kids enjoyed a little bit of lore too. We kind of wanted to understand things about the characters. I mean, you know, they went to the trouble of giving it a name and doing other things about it to make us want this toy. So we kind of want to know what it does and anything else so we can incorporate some of that into our play. But all in all, it's still a nice, interesting toy. I would love to see an idea done with it with Hasbro. So I know there's been somebody on X that has pitched about ideas of GoBots being done in the current scales for Transformers. And I think they've been looking at a leader or commander class size for Zod. And I kind of like that idea. That would probably make an interesting idea. But first, they'd have to settle, what is Zod? Is he a monster bent on destruction? Is he a programmable weapon? Or is he something else entirely? Questions, questions. So many. And no answers forthcoming. At any rate, that's my review of the GoBot monster Zod. And a look at his prototype. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please do remember that if you love the content we feature on this channel, Larry and I would certainly appreciate likes, shares, comments, and subscriptions. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.